Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blue Otter League Platinum Division. I've been joking for a while now that this is certainly more like the Emerald Division, but regardless, that's just raising the stakes and raising the level of competition here. And I'm excited to get in on this matchup between Dorado Gaming Moo and Bloom Gaming Lotus. Now, while Bloom Gaming has to use an E-sub and therefore is going to be losing 2 bans, I still think this is going to be a competitive matchup. Both teams matched to 2-0 their Week 1 opponents, and we're about to dive into this first draft of the night. Alongside me on Colorcast is going to be Slim. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's always exciting to see teams that haven't lost yet, and I know it's early in the season, but I mean these could be competitors in the league, or if week one is a fluke, right? Week two is really where you start to define who's at the top and who's at the bottom. So it should be really interesting.
Yeah, certainly a lot to play for. Obviously, going 2-0 at the very start of your season really gives you big ups and almost fully locks in a playoff slot just because of how short and how impactful these early seasons are. But, there's always ways to continue to build up, gain momentum. And you're supposed to do that here and now with this first draft. Immediately, Dorado Gaming on blue side is going to snap pick his Ziggs on B1. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's most likely a Ziggs ADC. It could be a Ziggs mid. I mean, honestly, I think it could be a flex. Both of them have proficiency on the champion, both OG Crush and SW. But I also think that Tristana mid does lane pretty favorably into Ziggs. So if they were looking at a Ziggs mid angle, banning with the Tristana was smart from them.
Yeah, just covering their bases for sure. Actually, quite a bit of emphasis there on that mid roll with the Tristana and the Talia both knocked away super early in this one, also denying the Viego, wondering what other big plays you might see coming out of their champions that they didn't want to have stolen away as the Viego starts using that passive. But Bloom Gaming going to answer back now with their first 2 selections. Jarvan's definitely bubbled up in the meta as of late. We've been seeing a lot of different responses to this pick. It looks like this time around, Dorado Gaming is trying to angle a bit more towards that late game. Not only have they got the Ziggs, but they got the Graves as well to answer back against not only that
Yeah.
jungler from Bloom Gaming, but also the Nautilus.
I think Graves is a good answer to Jarvan in general. You have the non-targeted dash for the Cataclysm, and then you also um, can outduel him quite easily. If you dodge the flag and drag, Graves is going to go ahead and win that extended trade. I also like Bloom Gaming Lotus not showing ADC or mid here, really trying to delay, get more information before they see where Ziggs is possibly going before they commit to anything.
Alistar going to go into that support role for Dorado Gaming Moo. This kind of is interesting given the fact that I think we were looking at a Ziggs ADC. I don't know how good the synergy is between the Ziggs and the Alistar. This might actually be one of those situations where the Alistar is actually looking for a very stable bot laner so they could just kind of roam across the rest of the map and facilitate plays alongside the Graves. Kind of similar to what you're talking about with the Graves being good into the Jarvan because of their ability to non-targeted dash away. Cataclysm can boot people out and kind of buy a little bit more space for your team, and you really don't want to be grouped up right under their pulverize either.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I, I think the Alistar does slightly telegraph a Ziggs mid, but there is an argument to be said that Ziggs is one of those champions that can 1v2 quite safely given his range. So if they're looking to potentially pick Ziggs ADC as this very safe champion that Alistar can then be free to roam up on, Alistar's roams are probably the most powerful part of his kit right now.
Well, we're jumping into the second ban phase after Bloom Gaming Lotus rounds us out with a Syndra selection. So that's going to be a mid laner, still keeping the marksman open on Bloom Gaming Lotus' side, and perhaps on Dorado Gaming's side as well. This is quite the interesting draft order. What do you think we're going to be seeing here on R4 now?
Mm, I would like to see something. How that's not what I would like to have seen. I was gonna say I would like to see something that's relatively high in wave clear because that's how you try and match the Ziggs. Or if the Ziggs is gonna be roaming with the Alistar, that's how you can basically have enough wave control. I don't think Vayne is that, although Vayne does have the capability of being very good, or she is very good into Alistar at least. The true damage does shut down the Alistar ultimate, but I do think if that is a Ziggs ADC, um, Ziggs should win this lane. But it's
That
not.
being said,
They're
it's
betting on the
not.
fact that it's not. They were betting on the fact that it wasn't, and that paid off for them. Xayah, uh, Xayah's a very safe pick here, and I think given that they don't have a lot of peel as a team, it makes sense. But in the 2v2, I could see that going either way. If Nautilus, Vayne can play that quite well into Xayah Graves. Or sorry, Xayah Alistar.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Vayne is going to be skill checked a little bit in that bot lane. There's a lot that you can do with this champion into the likes of the Alistar Zaya, especially pre level 6, where you kind of out damage, but you have to get close in order to do so. And you have to be
Hmm.
able to ride out that zoning pressure that Alistar brings to the table. Zaya, obviously, one of the best kiters in the game as well. Lots of dynamics to keep an eye on. And I'm a little bit worried that Bloom Gaming Lotus, having to adjust with their E sub might not have the best cohesion. We'll just have to keep an eye on the Rift and how that's all going to play out. As now we also get a Jax picked up on Red Squad side to round us out as a response to the Camille from Dorado Gaming Moo.
Yeah, to build up on that, an easy way to kind of avoid that lack of cohesion is to just put your E sub on a split pusher, right? That's he's not going to be in those fights. You guys don't have that team fight synergy, but you don't need that team fight synergy if the Jax is going to be 1v1 in Camille all game, right? So I think that is strategically, if you're forced to play around an E sub, I think that is one of the better ways to do it. Jax is favored into Camille matchup wise, um, but I do think this gives, like, now we see the full composition. Dorado Gaming, I think, has a better team fight. They also have a fairly good siege. Syndra's pretty much the only wave clear. But Bloom Gaming Lotus are going to have the advantage in that top lane. They have the more aggressive jungler early, and they have a lot of good gank setup in every single lane. So I do think if Bloom Gaming Lotus is able to get their Jax ahead and get enough of a lead early, that should overcome the team fight prowess of Dorado Gaming.
That's going to be their burden for sure. Dorado Gaming, I think, comes out with a pretty good team composition all in all. One of the really cute things that they did off that Ziggs pivot is kind of force that Syndra into almost being blinded in a way, and then you still manage to be able to respond to that Vayne with the B4 Zaya selection. Now, because Bloom Gaming Lotus still has their own individual strengths in team fights, I don't think that all is lost, even if this Jax lane falls apart. It's just that the barrier for execution on Bloom Gaming Lotus's side grows ever more pressing. I already talked a little bit about how this Vayne is really going to have to show their skills in this bot lane 2v2, and even beyond that, when it comes to team fights, they're going to have to do a whole lot to ensure that they don't get caught out and they don't get CC'd by the Alistar. Ziggs doesn't just blow them up in an instant, and they don't find themselves caught in the featherstorm of Zaya. If you're able to pass all that through, Slim, I think that there is still a chance, and I think that Red Squad has gotten themselves a pretty comfortable pick, but at the same time, we have a lot of variables that I think favor Dorado Gaming Moo, and they're the ones I'm going to vote for in terms of being favored on the draft in this game.
Okay. I think, given an even game state, heading out of when turrets platings fall, I will also give it to Dorado. But I do think that the limited CC they have in terms of gank setup, both mid and top, kind of force Graves' only lane to really play around is Alistar, and even Alistar has trouble getting setup CC onto a Vayne Nautilus with the Condemn. So I don't see a lot of ways for them to get ahead early, but they don't need to. I think if they're in an even game state, they'll be fine. Whereas on the other side, I do think Jarvan has 3 lanes that he can gank quite well. So I haven't seen these junglers play. I'm not familiar with their game, but I do think Jarvan has a lot of potential to run away with this early game. He has great setup from his lanes, and that puts it back in favor slightly of Lotus.
Yeah, Jarvan definitely has to get out to, I think, a good start for Bloom Gaming Lotus, and they're pretty well set up to, like you're talking about, the gank availability for a champion that very much enjoys setting up for ganks in that early game means that there's a lot of variables that Bloom Gaming Lotus can play off of. Now, Split Breed is going to be in this kind of position where, yeah, Graves can go for some of these skirmishes early. They can go for good counter jungles as well if Jarvan shows on the map a little bit too frequently, but it's going to take a bit for them to come online, and the same could be said for the Zaya, the Ziggs as well. But once they do manage to punch their ticket into that mid to late game, and as they're talking about, if they find themselves in at least an even situation regarding the gold, I do think that Dorado Gaming Moo can fall back to either the Ziggs or the Zaya in order to really be the carry for the team and push through towards that end game, while Bloom Gaming Lotus has to hope that that 1v1 topside goes in favor of Jax, and they also really need to ensure that this Vayne doesn't hemorrhage a ton of gold in that early game.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And you mentioned also that the Graves has the ability to invade. We talked earlier about how Graves is favored in that 1v1. So yeah, if he's able to prevent Jarvan from snowballing the game by just taking the fight to Jarvan, I think that would be an excellent way for Dorado to try to control the tempo in the early game. Totally agree.
Well, we got an interesting one building up because the thing is, right now in the Ishtal division of the Platinum League, BOL is experiencing a three-way tied for first place. Dorado Gaming Move, Bloom Gaming, Lotus, two of those three with Team Cosmic Genesis rounding out that top of the charts. If we see Bloom Gaming, Lotus, or Dorado Gaming Moo get off to a really dashing start here, getting another 2-0 under the belt to go up 4-0 in total throughout this season, we could be looking at the very least at finally a defined leader for the Ishtal division, and then becomes a matter of who in cross region play is really going to make their mark. So there's a lot riding on the line. I don't think that either team even wants to drop a single game. They, like I said before, want to keep up that momentum. So I'm super excited to dive onto the rift for this game number one between these two teams. We're going to throw it over to a quick break, guys, and we will return with that first round. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the BOL Platinum Division for game number 1 between Dorado Gaming Moo and Bloom Gaming Lotus. Already, we're seeing a
30
little bit
seconds until
of that
minions
confidence on Red
spawn.
Squad side that comes from having that Nautilus and Jarvan. They're going to start forging into enemy territory here. Memerstick's going to have to back off as this Alistar really doesn't have much in the way of fight power at that level 1.
Yeah. And on the other side of the map, you see Graves, Camille, see the 4-man, and counter with vision of their own. So all in all, fairly balanced start. I do think both teams having vision of each other does favor Graves. He can, look to path aggressively and look to try to neutralize Jarvan.
Minions have spawned.
Well, while we have this opportunity, because that early invade was thwarted or at the very least bounced back against by Dorado Gaming Moo, I think it's probably a good time to shout out one of our sponsors for this season. We got Coachify. BOL Season 10 is sponsored by one of this really fantastic coaching platforms that has kind of reared its head as of late. Made a big splash in NECL as well by sponsoring one of the teams up there. But it's a platform that is for esports coaches where you're allowed to advertise your works for 0 commission. Sign up is free and anyone can create a public profile. For more information, type !Coachify into the chat.
Yeah, and honestly, a great service. After my first time casting for BOL, that's how I heard about Coachify, and I found it very interesting, honestly. I've taken a deeper look into it. It's a great service. But back to the game, fairly standard runes and summoners across the board. I do like that the Vayne here opted for Ghost, and I also do like that Xayah, who's going to be Cataclysmed, opted for the Exhaust. And other than that, things seem fairly symmetric. I do find it interesting that Syndra is more commonly opting for First Strike, but knowing that she's outranged in this matchup, went for the Electrocute instead. So she's going to have a little bit more early game pressure here, although she did lose that trade right there. Very good auto trades back and forth. She is going to have a little bit more early pressure, but she is obviously not going to get that free gold. And she is going to... the rune doesn't scale nearly as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jacob Bree really just trying to, I think, buy themselves space and those favorable trades like you're talking about, Slim.
Yeah.
Once this late game comes and goes, though, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where they're going to have that little bit less gold and whatnot to play off of. So perhaps this is going to be a dicey call, especially given the fact that Ziggs also scales really well as a mage. So it isn't really like you're getting ahead just because you have no splinters or anything like that. Now, across the rest of the map, things going about as expected. Juggernaut has that pushing pressure versus the Camille right now.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, bot side of the map, SWBF and Memerstick are really paying being paid dividends by the fact that they have that range advantage versus that Vayne.
Sure. As well as the wave clear advantage, right? Xayah's autoing AoE and Vayne just doesn't have that, right? On the other side here, I like the way that Jax pushed early, we saw it on the minimap, and then is now letting the wave bounce back. That does put Camille in a bit of an awkward position. Although, if he doesn't equalize this, there's the gank. EQ misses.
Yeah, Nineline Klein just going to be able to walk this out. They have coverage of Split Breed in the topside river anyway, so Dorado Gaming Moo, with that good rotation, is able to find out where Loveless is and from there just respond nicely. And the Camille's just going to walk straight back to this lane that is currently bouncing out towards Juggernaut. This could be a point where we see a little bit more in the way of clashing. Juggernaut, though, just going to tend to the wave really nicely, and Klein actually not really walking up for the time being.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, Split Breed was managed to get both crabs, did manage to get both crabs here, but this Camille has to respect that Jarvan could still be nearby. She placed a ward, and even though she avoided the gank, immediately gets her ward cleared. And so it feels a little bit hard for her to walk up in these cases. Feeling a little more confident now, she's like, there's no way Jarvan's still waiting, right? And she would be right, and then Juggernaut actually trading in a pretty big wave. I'm not sure if Houston actually wins that. Trade's about even.
Yeah, just trying to stem the tide, it looks like, maybe clear out a few more of these minions before they crash into the tower. But good on Klein, finding the right time to strike, get that pressure in order to get a big wave shoved in. May even be able to just take a cheeky back right here if they so desire. It actually looks like they're going to stick around to just trade a bit more and occupy Juggernaut with a few more of these minions. Now, we have seen Jarvan not over push, but step down into that bot lane. And with Graves also pathing in the same direction, we could have some action around this dragon setup as this first Drake has spawned. But at the same time, without really any big tempo swings coming out of mid, it could be a bit tough for either team to dedicate a ton of resources in that direction.
Yeah. And I actually think Jarvan here, off of the second clear, had Wolves into Gromp. That telegraphs he's looking for a bot lane gank. Whereas Graves took the double crab into a second full clear, right? He's likely looking top or looking towards his Gromp that's respawning soon. Or possibly, if they have vision of Jarvan right here, Graves could look for an invade here as well, but he's already 11 CS ahead. There's the gank. And realizes that his time's a little wasted. Yeah.
Yeah, Jarvan's
maybe
just going
not.
to in the bush. Will cancel their back, though, as we see Cloudberry land their hook. And now Memer6 is getting hit enough to force the flash out of the bowl. SLBBF going to respond in kind with a good feather call back, but it isn't actually going to lead to a kill or any real pressure. Dorado Gaming Moo now having so much damage taken off of that Alistar will be pushed in.
Yeah. Yeah. So we thought that because Jarvan was spotted on the gank, that Xayah, Nautilus, or Xayah, Alistar were going to be able to back that off safely. But Nautilus, it's a good long-range hook. And here comes Splitbreed.
Juggernaut will have to flash away, respecting the hook shot from Line Klein. So good trade across the map. Dorado Gaming Moo a little bit sluggish on the cross, but it's still totally worth it as Jax did, in fact, disrespect Splitbreed's movements. And from there, they lost that flash.
Yeah, I'll be real. I don't actually think that Jax needed to flash there.
Yeah, well,
very good.
They may be able to use it here, or they could have used it here if they didn't burn it. Line Klein, though, taking a raw deal from the Hextech ultimatum and is put into a pretty awkward position at only about half health, trying to defend Juggernaut, who has another wave coming up. They're going to try to shove this in, and here comes the trade we were looking for, another leap strike forward, and now this Camille's in a really rough situation. One more leap strike, and meanwhile we have also action in the mid lane. This is going to be Jacobery trying to get back under the tower. The Mega Inferno Bomb ticks them low, but not low enough to actually secure the kill for the Ziggs. So Dorado Gaming Moo unable to find any kills, but they also are holding off Juggernaut well enough in the top side of the map, but Splitbreed way too confident, walking into the river, going to get mobbed up by the 3. Great little stun there over the wall from Jacobery to really confirm that kill, and that's going to be first blood over to Bloom Gaming.
And that was an excellent rotation by the Nautilus. It looked like Splitbreed had no idea, right? I don't know what the comms look like. Ooh.
No ultimate for either Juggernaut or Line Klein. Camille gonna give chase, looking for something with that flash, and will land the killing blow. A solo kill going not the way we expected there on the top side of the map, but Dorado Gaming very happy to get that after they lost their jungler.
Yeah, fantastically played by the Camille there. Line Klein dashing out of the stun and then dashing back into stun the Jax. As there's another hook and we're fighting. That's Bane on 6.
SLBBF has to be careful. Scoops has gotten into the range of influence. The ignite and stun, though, coming down a moment too soon. Memer6 saving the Xayah and taking the brunt of the damage from Cloudberry and Scoops as the Vayne backs off. Right now, it's looking like a bit of a stalemate, but Graves is down here to maybe try turn things for a Dorado Gaming move. Bloom Gaming Lotus doesn't back off.
Yeah, and crucially there, I'm not sure if it was on cooldown, but that Nautilus not getting the ignite off there onto the Xayah, she was low enough that I think that would have been lethal range. Really a back and forth here. I'm surprised to see that. I mean, I think that Nautilus is just playing fantastically overall. Hitting the hooks that's keeping his Vayne in this. She's been down about a wave and had to take the recall there. But overall, like, this is a lane that we favored Xayah in, and instead, heading about even is about as good as you can do.
Loveless has the Cataclysm, and this is an Alistar walking very far forward into Cloudberry. Featherstorm going to be activated, but Memer6 is caught out in the mosh pit right now, is ignited, and will die to the Nautilus. Scoops coming in at the last minute to cover the extraction of their 2 fellow members. Dorado Gaming Moo lose 1 and lose priority critically over the bot side river, which means this could be a dragon for Bloom Gaming.
Yeah, I think the dragon will go over to Bloom Gaming, but on the cross side of the map, Splitbreed here is already at the Herald. As soon as he saw Jarvan bot, he started walking towards that Herald. So all in all, about an even trade as far as map objectives goes.
Yeah, and Splitbreed is immediately going to start pushing towards that top lane as well. Juggernaut knew something was up, but now they may pay for investigating with their life, as we also have OG Kush walking through the river, dropping the Mega Inferno Bomb, and Graves is going to grab that kill. And this is now a free lane to try to jam the Shelly into with the Ziggs here as well. This could be really backbreaking.
Yes, I actually do think the Ziggs, obviously fantastic synergy with turret pushing. The Herald dropping here probably drops it now. Because Ziggs is going to be able to execute the turret. No teleport. Nautilus is walking top here. Again, Nautilus making the right rotation to try to defend this. I do think it might be a little bit too little too late, though. And we'll see if the cross map happens with Xayah Alistar looking at Vayne at the same time. Yeah, too little too late.
Well, we did talk about how Bloom Gaming Lotus needed to keep this Jackson the running top side of the map, but Juggernaut now has lost their tier 1 tower and so much pressure up here. They're going to be relegated to sitting near that tier 2, and while that does mean that 9-line Klein probably can't push up as aggressively and fish for kills anymore, they've done their job, and now the question is, when are those rotations from that bot lane going to come through, and when will the handoff where we're going to start seeing this duo from bot move to maybe top or mid happen?
Yeah. And what I'm really worried about, now that the Jax is behind, like you said, is that Camille's probably not safe to push all the way to inner, but it puts so much pressure on the Syndra. This Syndra who has been, I think, out-pressuring the Ziggs a little bit. We've seen Ziggs low several times, and that puts a lot of pressure on the Syndra because Camille, the way the interaction works, her R will dodge the Syndra stun, and it's going to be very hard for her to, like, put the pressure that she's been putting on Ziggs, and a Ziggs that's able to push in is going to be able to get some plates here as well.
And it's an unfortunate situation where, yeah, the Syndra has been pressuring really well, but it's not like it turned into a CS lead or any kills. So OG Kush is pretty happy with where they're at, especially as now, as you're talking about, 9-line Klein is just on the prowl looking for some kills. Cloudberry going to rotate up first from that bot lane, but they're going to have to use their hook to try to get to safety alongside a flash to dodge out of the way of the hook shot. And now it's just 3 members of Red Squad clustered under this tower, knowing that Memer 6 is going to follow and make this a man advantage fight for Dorado Gaming Moo.
The Camille absolutely heard me. As if on cue, she's rotating mid. And that's exactly what I was worried about, right? Like, they managed to get away there, only burned, what, 1 flash, actually? I think that's best case scenario for them. Honestly, because of the Nautilus, right? The Nautilus, again, was ahead of the Alistar on the rotation, and was then able to prevent Dorado from moving any further.
And this is such an interesting situation where it's almost kind of like you got double support. 9-line Klein just going from place to place, pressuring the map. Now they're walking in a wave with the help of the Xayah bot side of the map, and this is going to be more plates going over to them.
Yeah. And see, I'm really curious to see if what Lotus wants to do here is somehow prevent Camille from taking this base and to give Jackson an opportunity to actually get some plates back. That's what he's going to really need to catch up. Right? If
well, we have an engage
here
now. SWBF going to get hooked immediately. Featherstorm's back, and look at the setup. That's going to be so difficult for Red Squad to contend with. Cloudbreak goes down as the fight's been so delayed by the Xayah ultimate, and Cataclysm is doing absolutely nothing to help Bloom Gaming. That's a double kill for 9-line Klein, and make that 4 for the price of 1 in the bot side, as now we see Scoops dove under the tier 1 tower, and Ace at 13 minutes in, and Slim, this game is over.
that is backbreaking. Not only did this Camille Jax we're talking about, not only did Jax not even push that in, but was probably asked to teleport in. But yeah, 5 for 1 is absolutely not ideal. All the gold went to the Camille, and I think who else got a kill? The Ziggs.
The Ziggs got a kill. The Xayah got a kill. They're sharing the wealth a little bit.
Oh yeah, 3 on Camille, 1 on Ziggs, 1 on Xayah, because Graves already had his earlier. That is not what you want to see here, and this is a commanding position to be in, especially all those important cooldowns for Bloom. 1 minute ahead of Dragon means they're going to be able to equalize the Dragons here.
I think that Bloom Gaming Lotus have to be happy that they took that first Dragon, because otherwise the win condition for Dorado Gaming Moo is not just that they scale really well off the Ziggs and the Xayah. They would be able to push towards Assault incredibly quickly because they have utter dominance across the map. Like I said before, with Juggernaut kind of relegated to wave clearing on the top side and not really pressuring any neutral objectives, Dorado Gaming Moo really have free reign as to where they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'm not sure if it was intentional, but just the way the map played out. But taking the side outers first puts so much pressure on mid lane that you're almost guaranteed to get that mid outer last. It's a very awkward position for Lotus, because you want to hold on to this turret, you want to slow the pace of the game down so you can try and get your core items catch back up. But you're gonna see happen here is the encroachment. Here it is, the encroachment into Jarvan's jungle, because you don't have those side turrets to fall back on. It kind of spearheads the map in a way.
And second Rift Herald's going to be up in 20 seconds, which means that that's just going to be another opportunity for Dorado Gaming Moo to absolutely obliterate Blue Gaming Lotus's side of the map. We're going to see a back here from most of the core members of Red Squad, and they're just going to look to try to hold off, maybe even be a bit aggressive. They need to put up a fight somewhere to ensure that they're just not relegated towards their base at before the 18-20 minute mark. But we have an engage. Cloudberry going to drop her depth charge right onto SWBF, and they are going to Featherstorm. They're going to have to flash back to safety. Cataclysm used, though, and unfortunately, Juggernox is just blown up in an instant, but Scoops is staying alive in this fight, picking up a double-double. The problem is 9-line Clyde has a full health bar to play with, and the Hextech ultimatum, and that is the cleanup we were expecting. Gaming Lotus is going to have to limp behind their tier 1, and they won't even need the Rift Herald to crack this open.
Yeah, you know, obviously, that's more gold in the Camille's pocket, and these guys are probably able to defend this, but they're forced to lose the outer. But that wasn't the worst, given the state of the game. Given the game state, that wasn't the worst if you're Lotus here. You got the Xayah shutdown, you got some money on your Vayne, and overall, 2 for 3, when you're behind like this, you take that.
I would agree. I think that was a bit of an over-eager engage from Cloudberry as well, so the fact that they were able to turn it around as nicely as they did does speak volumes about the fact that they still have a pathway back into this game, but Bloom Gaming really need that path to start being trodden very soon. Otherwise, they are just going to fall further and further behind the heavily scaling team for that is Dorado Gaming Moo right now. SWBF certainly in a good position at 2-1-3. Very good on the farm front as well. And OG Kush, I think, has been kind of the unsung hero in a lot of these fights. They don't really have the same burst damage that you're looking for out of the Camille, who's currently at 5-0-4, or the Xayah with the Featherstorm. But they're doing their part, just getting that burn damage onto so many members of Bloom Gaming Lotus. And therefore, these war of attrition style fights, once Memer6 starts tanking up or 9-line Klein looks for the re-engage, are really just going in favor of Blue Squad. Yeah, that last one, maybe not the best look for them, but I think things are only going to get better for this team unless Bloom Gaming Lotus does something drastic. Right now, we are seeing them try to go for the 2v1. 9-line Klein will not even be able to pick up a kill. Shut down onto the Jax. Should hopefully get them back into this game. And once again, overconfidence seems to be hurting Dorado Gaming Moo just a little bit.
Yeah, and that definitely feels good if you're on the side of Lotus. But looking at the numbers, that Camille's still up 800 gold. I don't think that's going to change the matchup yet. But 1 or 2 more of those for Jax, and he's able to take control of that side lane again. I could see it switching very quickly. I would like to see Jax in this back here. He didn't do it. I'd like to see him pick up some anti-heal. Camille's quickly going to finish that Ravenous Hydra, and you're not going to win if you don't cut that healing down.
Well, the good news for Bloom Gaming Lotus, or I guess the glass half full means of looking at this game, is that allowing for Jarvan to go for those very involved 2-for-1s in the face of Vision versus Dorado Gaming Moo doesn't really lead to much of a trade-off. Blue Squad has kind of already taken all of the things that they could take on the map at this point. All the tier 1s are gone, and it isn't really like they're able to heavily index into grabbing a tier 2 this early into the game. And so in this little bit of dead space before the next dragon comes up, before we see the Rift Herald dropped, they do manage to just get some good shutdowns and find themselves a little bit of footing moving into what is going to be, I think, a very crucial fight. Look at the gold lead, Slim. It isn't actually like it's grown at all in the past, I would say 4 to 5 minutes. Dorado Gaming Moo have found easy footing early, but they haven't actually translated it into a whole lot.
No, I totally agree. The game's in a bit of a lull state right now. But I think that Dorado's just very comfortable with their scaling, and we've talked about that before, right? This Ziggs is going to be putting out damage late game. The Graves, Camille scales fantastic. I mean, Camille scales fantastically, but she does lose late game to Jax in the 1v1, but she still scales fantastically in these fights. Her target acquisition and, targeted basically Cho'Gath R on a 2-second cooldown is pretty unmatched. So I think they're just, sure, their lead's not growing, but I think they're okay with that. I think they're okay just taking it slow. Dragon's coming up. Even after that, the next dragon's coming up. I don't think there's any reason for them to force tempo here, or like try and push the tempo here.
I'm kind of surprised that the second Shelly actually managed to get a charge into that mid lane, but it did. And while it isn't a true distraction for this dragon, Bloom Gaming Lotus don't want to coin flip it around this neutral objective. They know that Dorado Gaming Moo is still a while off going for that soul. And so because that's the case, they are just going to try to find some waves in these lanes. Maybe farm a few camps in the jungle, which has become very difficult as of late because of how hard.
Jarvan got a cheeky steal there as well. I'm sorry.
But yeah, there you go. That's exactly what you need here, right? They managed to get the contested buff. A little bit of gold back into their pocket. Maybe they're going to be relevant for another fight with their Cataclysm at the very least.
And it's also just a psychological victory, right? When you're losing and there's not much you can do aggressively, I think.
I think we may have just lost Slim, but
oh, hello.
We'll see whether or not they're going to.
I might have cut out there. I heard my computer making weird noises, but can you hear me now?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay. I was just saying it's a little bit of a psychological victory if you're the Jarvan, or if you're that team in general. Just like we shut down their next play, right? We managed to get the steal, even though it's not going to likely matter in the grand scheme of the game. The moves are going to run out soon.
Well, we're past the 20-minute mark. There's a Baron Nashor on the table, so any fights taken by either team that goes belly up could be incredibly punishing, even from behind. Bloom Gaming Lotus isn't in such a deficit that a Baron wouldn't fix their problems, especially given that there are many towers for them to still take, and they have those bounties available. So, Meme6 definitely has to be careful walking this far up to this pixel bush, and you don't know how many people are hiding inside of it.
Yeah, I think he's feeling pretty safe with the amount of backup he has here. I also do think that Dorado has an excellent Baron take, right? They have a ton of DPS, the Leandries on the low cooldown champion like Ziggs.
Oh no, and what a good call out. Cloudberry isolated, trying to hide under the tier 2 tower, and it doesn't matter. And that's also, I think, a teleport.
That was teleport, that was Syndra teleport as well.
Yeah, heartbreaking. Bloom Gaming Lotus, I think, are just going to lose Baron off of this.
It is. Syndra's not able to rotate up in time. I mean, she could start running north, but with in a 4v5, I think she's looking to just trade. She's saying, okay, I guess we lost Baron. I'm going to just try and get this objective bounty. And realistically, if I'm Dorado, I'm sending a teleport down bottom. Don't give them anything. You have no need to. There it is. And yep. Thank you. Thank you, Ziggs.
Ziggs with a smart call here, knows that there's going to be plenty of time for them to back in the future. Now, they will be a little bit desynced with the rest of the team, but Dorado Gaming Moo has total pressure wherever they so desire to bring their empowered waves. I imagine that as we see the Alistar and Xayah get back out onto the map, they're looking to crack open this mid lane with the help of the Graves. And then from there, you have this perfect little timer of 2 minutes when you can then rotate back over and get the soul point as well. Things going swimmingly for Dorado Gaming Moo. Not the most accelerated game from such a crushing early lead slim, but still very impressive stuff from Blue Squad.
Yeah, no, totally. And I guess, like I said earlier, it's just when you have the comfort of knowing that you scale better, you don't need to accelerate anything. You're only going to take things that are 100% free. Whereas the clock is really on Loveless and his squad here. I point out Loveless because this Jarvan's only going to feel less and less useful as the game goes on. He's already feeling very squishy, and in just the 5-6 more minutes, his damage is going to fall off as well. So.
Goobs and Juggernaut are looking for the 35-40 minute mark at this point for this game to come back into the fold for Bloom Gaming. But we have some action right here at the 24-minute mark, and that is going to be the Jax picked off in but an instant. Now, Bloom Gaming are desperate to try to find something in a 4v3 mid lane, but Loveless is going so low, and look, the Featherstorm's gonna come out right in the nick of time to blow up Jacobri, and SWBF is untouched, getting the double.
Yeah, I mean, it's the struggle when you have so many members that are strong. They lost a 4v3 there, right? Yep. They're forced to engage because they know it's a 4v3. They know they have to engage, but they end up blowing so many important cooldowns on the Alistar there. And like you said, the Xayah is untouched. And she's able to put out so much more damage in an AoE versus really Vayne Syndra's primarily single target, right? And they're not able to keep up, right? 4v3 doesn't matter when your champions are AoE and you're hitting 2 or 3 targets at a time like the Xayah and the Ziggs were there.
And pulling out right after taking 2 inhibitors. It's backbreaking. Bloom Gaming Lotus don't just straight up lose the game here at the 25-minute mark, but it is damn close to it, Slim. And now this is going to be a pretty free soul point to Dorado Gaming Moo once they take their resets. And really, you couldn't ask for more out of a Baron Nashor buff than what they just got here. Bloom Gaming Lotus overextended mid lane, got punished massively, and now I think the gold is completely out of reach for them. 11k deficit on Red Squad's side, and that's going to take multiple team fights to bring back.
Yeah, no, I mean, at this point, you're hoping that there's some sort of aggressive, cocky turret dive. Your window back is no longer what plays can we make. It's let's hope the enemy throws. Which is possible, right? We're not, we're not pro players by any means. But Bloom's focus is now just, are they making an egregious mistake that will allow us in the game? Because they have no proactive way back in the game at this point. Jax getting this objective bounty does help. But, it's trading. Trading 1-for-1 on real estate here is, when you're only down to 3 turrets total, is not really what you want to do.
Not at all. There's not that many turrets to dive anymore. I think Bloom Gaming and Lotus are just looking to keep their hopes alive by defending this last inhibitor. If this falls and they're stuck with only those Nexus turrets, this game is basically going to completely fall apart. Not that it hasn't already, but they still are able to bust out the crazy glue and keep at least a semblance of coherent game plan together as long as they have some amount of the base to defend. Scoops has gotten that static shift, so that's helping with wave clear just a little bit. Chakabri is also pretty good on that front, but yeah, we're starting to see the pressure that comes from those supers now mounting in the mid and top side of the map, as we just saw a wave get through over to the Nexus turrets, and that means that once again, OG Kush and company could just pepper away at all these Red Squad members relegated to their base.
Yeah, when that double stack supers drops in, and it's not perfectly timed here, I think it would have been a little smarter if Dorado here didn't push this last wave in quite so quickly. But you're seeing here, I identify this, the siege potential of Dorado versus the limited wave clear of having a Vayne. It leaves Syndra as pretty much, and a melee top. Leaves Syndra as your only wave clear, and they're getting bullied down here.
Oh, and that's heartbreak right there. Chakabri blows their scatter the weak, not on the Ziggs, who was looking for the execute, but on the rest of the team, and that means there's an opening for Dorado Gaming Moo to run over Bloom Gaming Lotus. They're going to chase them all the way back towards the fountain. Juggernaut flashes to safety, but Loveless has to give their life to try to stop this blue tidal wave from crashing into the Nexus. They will fail, though. Juggernaut not able to do enough, neither will Scoobs, and that's game number 1 for Dorado Gaming Moo.
Yeah, quite convincing game too. Once Dorado had the lead off that 5-for-1 down in bot lane, I thought they played very controlled, very well in closing the game out. Right? You noticed, I think, even during that lull state, there was 4 or 5 buffs in a row, soft invades to try and secure that buff, or try and pinch Jarvan out of his jungle. And at the end of the game, Graves is flame horizoning this Jarvan. So I think very effective game plan of just going where the turrets aren't. It's only 18 minutes in the game. They didn't overforce anything, and just forced Loveless and Lotus to concede little bits and not give themselves any chance to get back in the game.
Now, there's some virtues here for Bloom Gaming Lotus that I think could help them later on in this series, Slim. This was one of those games where you made a big gamble early, and things fell apart terribly from it. Now, I'm happy that they tried. It's just a matter of trying to restabilize just a little bit. If they're able to do so, and they don't really throw the game away off of a coin flip fight in the bot lane, we could be seeing a much more fraught mid game that Dorado Gaming Moo could stumble in, right? We did see a few overextensions from there. Those are things that you can't exploit going forward, but it will take a big stop of the pressure here and now. Let's see if they're going to be able to do it. I think we should throw it over to a quick break, and when we return, it's going to be for the draft of game number 2.
Sounds good.
It's
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blue Otter League Platinum Division for the second draft of the night between Balloon Gaming Lotus and Dorado Gaming Moo. That first round definitely felt dominant from Dorado Gaming. They popped off with a really great showing out of 9-line Klein on a Camille, rotating across the map and really showing their macro chops, that coordination really coming to bear onto Balloon Gaming Lotus, who, being down two bans, being down one of their mainline players, could be struggling on that front of just being able to respond to the unified front that Dorado Gaming is presenting.
Yeah, in this draft, rapid fire underway here. Bloom Gaming Lotus down to only one ban, choose to use them in the Graves, and then they essentially have used their first pick as a second ban, taking away the Ziggs that was so impactful in that first game, and then seeing the Zeri and instantly locking a Cog Lulu. I actually like that in the Zeri a lot. One, denying Zeri her own Lulu, and then second of all, Zeri's a very mobile champion, and Kog'Maw's damage is very targeted, right? He's going to click on her with Empowered W, and it's overall a favorable matchup for Kog'Maw.
Yeah, this is a great adaptation from Bloom Gaming Lotus, and I think already the game plan that Dorado Gaming Moo used to get an easy dub in game number one is no longer on the table. It was the power busting power of OG Kush rotating into that top side of the map to help Split Breed take down that tower with Shelly. That just really opened up opportunities for Dorado Gaming Moo to put really unique pressure situations onto the board. Now that they are no longer able to do that, OG Kush is going to go over to his Zed, playing a bit of assassin up here.
Yeah, I mean, they already had the Hecarim, which is a great dive. Opting for the Zed here, which is another, again, good dive champion, versus the heavy backline of Bloom Gaming. Although Bloom Gaming does have the Lulu, right? Lulu can shut down a lot of these champions fairly well, especially Zed. Hecarim does have the tankiness to kind of survive Lulu CC and keep and stick to whatever target that he's trying to kill. I would like to see Bloom Gaming here pick additional peel in order to try to nullify the dive on Dorado Gaming. Something like a Shen. I am worried though. We did see Juggernaut lose. He had counter pick in game one and still fell behind. If he's likely going to blind pick here, I would like to see him on something like the Shen that can offer utility for his team, peel the Kog'Maw, whose last game the Vayne, who I thought was a relatively bright spot for Bloom Gaming, as opposed to putting on something that will struggle to find impact if it's put behind. Seraphine picked up here is that Suedo Enchanter that synergizes well with Zeri's kit, but also has the range with her ultimate especially to offer more pressure on Bloom Gaming's backline, right? So you could think of her as like the dive support in terms of enchanters, right? There, obviously, it seems like a oxymoron. Maokai in the jungle, that is excellent peel. Targeted CC is always good against a champion like Zed. Multiple forms of CC. Targeted peel is also great for against a champion like Zeri. That is likely to go jungle. And let's see if they follow my advice on the Shen top. I mean, it doesn't have to be Shen. I think there's other champions that could fill that niche of being high utility and peel centric. Oh, it's Maokai top. Okay, that's fine. That does fill that niche. And the Nocturne jungle. What do you think about the Nocturne jungle? Sorry, I've been talking a lot.
I think that the Maokai top is an interesting call. It gets a little bit more tankiness from the increased income that you get from a solo lane, but
Absolutely.
I do think it needed to be paired with something that was also pretty peel oriented in the jungle role, because you really have no other defense besides Nature Grasp, hopefully holding off the Zed and Hecarim's approach for long enough to keep the Ziggs, Kog'Maw, and Lulu alive. But now with the Olaf also on the table, I think Dorado Gaming Moo will be able to push through that front line pretty easily. And now the question is Nocturne's ability to jump onto a squishy member like the Zeri or Seraphine going to make up for the fact that this Hecarim is going to be running down your own backline? I don't really think it will. I think the Dorado Gaming Moo has adapted really beautifully to what Bloom Gaming Lotus is bringing to the table. If we see Dorado Gaming get off to an early start that gets them really good position on the map, or priority very similar to what we saw in game number one, what I'm worried about is the flanking potential from the Hecarim and the Olaf and the Zed will come to bear, and now Maokai's very unidirectional means by which to either engage or peel for the team will be disrupted.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think this, regardless of the Nocturne pick, but I think Olaf was a fantastic R5 for Dorado Gaming. Not only does it counter the kind of peel that Maokai provides, but it is one of Maokai's top 3 worst matchups, if not his worst matchup in the top lane. You don't see Maokai top lane as much for a reason. There are a lot of lanes that he struggles into, and Olaf is definitely one of them. It also gives Dorado Gaming a lot of flexibility if Kog'Maw is strong, or if there is enough peel they're struggling. There's nobody that can match Olaf in the side lane. Even the Ziggs, who has a lot of wave clear, Olaf is one of those champions that can dive straight through that. Fantastic R5 for Dorado Gaming. I know that Nocturne does feel like a weird pick when the rest of your team is very peel centric, but I actually don't hate it because it is targeted CC, albeit delayed. But more importantly, diving requires coordination, right? And Nocturne. Now, I did think that Dorado Gaming was very coordinated last game. I thought they played well together, and I don't think a little bit of darkness is gonna totally ruin that. But I do see what they were going for at the very least.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a gamble, and this is still certainly a game for Bloom Gaming Lotus to win, but Dorado Gaming Moo has already proven their consistency to some degree, and I'm very happy to see such a diverse shifting of the draft here for game number 2, just because I think we're going to get really quality footage out of both of these teams, showing some of their other strengths that maybe didn't really come across in game number 1. But I do kind of want to hammer home what I was talking about when we were leading up to that first round as well, Slim. I do think that both of these teams want to 2-0 this series. Now, Bloom Gaming Lotus is incapable of doing that, but still trying to hold on to a decent record moving into the third week is going to be super valuable for them. So they have to bring it back here and now, but Dorado Gaming Moo looks really like they've come to play and that they're very prepared for this round.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do like the way I do favor Dorado Gaming's draft. I think Bloom Gaming Lotus is the one who changed the game state, right? They very sharp picks with Lulu Kog'Maw, right? This game is going to be played almost every pick you see after the Kog'Maw Lulu have been centered around either supporting or countering the Kog'Maw Lulu, right? With the dive on Dorado Gaming side and the further peel on Bloom Gaming Lotus' side. It really kind of shaped the draft, so to speak. I almost wonder if maybe that may have been a mistake if they had opted to grab Lulu in that rotation, but then wait on ADC until the final rotation to kind of keep themselves a little bit more flexible. That might have been preferable. But in regards to what you said about just the overall, looking to 2-0, looking to obviously come back and win this series, I think from the just the psychological perspective of what both these teams are trying to accomplish, if you're Bloom Gaming Lotus, regardless of whether you win or lose this game, I mean, obviously you feel better if you win. But I do think they have that out. Okay, we didn't have our roster, right? And I could see them not losing too much momentum, right? If they could easily come back in week 3, even if they lose this series, they can easily come back in week 3 and still look informative when they have their roster. It's kind of one of those things where mentally it doesn't affect you as much.
Yeah, well, we got the drafts all loaded up inside of the client as well, so I think this is probably our time to part for just a few minutes, get back onto the Rift for game number 2. Very, very excited to see if Bloom Gaming Lotus can restabilize after a pretty crushing defeat in the first round, or if Dorado Gaming Moo have just found their sea legs in this series and are looking to take this in even more dominant of a fashion. We'll see you guys soon. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Bloom Gaming Lotus versus Dorado Gaming Moo here in the Blue Otter League Platinum Division. Moving as 5, Bloom Gaming Lotus for a second game running are going to try a little bit of cheese here, but Dorado Gaming Moo is doing exactly the same, trying to round this corner, and this could be utter chaos. Double beat drop straight into the tri-bush, but 9-line Klein maybe too deep for comfort. Juggernaut manages to walk that off, and that's first blood for Bloom Gaming.
Yeah, explosive invade there. It looked, honestly, great read if you are Bloom Gaming there, predicting the invade, and being ready stacked as 5 to to counter it. It almost seemed like it almost seems like the Maokai there was like not paying attention for half a second because he didn't move when everybody swarmed on him for a second, but then he gets a great Q. And 9-line Klein goes a little bit too aggressive there. Going down both summoners does feel really bad, but on the upside, that's no summoners Cog Blue. If I'm Hecarim, I'm targeting that lane, versus you do have the summons advantage from the Zeri and Seraphine.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'd be watching Bloom Gaming Lotus if they're just able to stabilize, bring some of those summoner spells back into the fold in the spot lane. Dorado Gaming Moo may just be stonewalled out because of that gold boost that we now see top side of the map. Bloom Gaming Lotus has found a lead for Juggernaut, and let's see if they're going to be able to keep it. I know that this is a dynamic that you were talking about when we were off broadcast, Slim, for a little bit, that for as much as they're explosive matchups across the map, things could just be decided because 9-line Klein and Juggernaut decide to go at it.
Yeah, like I said, it's just and I looked at the stats to confirm, kind of what I said earlier on stream that as there's a fight going on, level 2
yeah,
not
Scoobs
respected.
is in so much trouble. There's the flash, and SWBF is going to pick that up, and I'm going to be seeing a little bit more of that side of the map than expected.
I mean, yeah, right there also, right? You only get that kill because Kog'Maw's flash was burned off the invade. So, all in all, right, like that invade was not the worst thing, despite the 1-0 start or 0-1 start.
I mean, at this point, with the game state as it is, I think I do prefer Dorado Gaming Moo. I'd much rather have that kill onto SWBF than the Kog'Maw in a similar position, just because SWBF is playing Zeri, who just has such explosive potential versus the kind of team composition that Bloom Gaming Lotus is bringing to the table. While I do think that Kog'Maw can make some plays, they're going to take a bit longer to get online just by virtue of how Dorado Gaming is looking to engage.
Yeah, absolutely, right? The Kog'Maw doesn't snowball off of 1 kill the same way, right? He's gonna need he needs levels, really. He needs to get to level 9, get that W maxed, in order to really start feeling engaged. As well as, honestly, he needs levels in his Lulu as well. He needs those shields to be nice and big on him, as well as pick scales off of champion level as well.
All right, well, 9-line Klein still playing aggressive even after losing that early life to the Kog'Maw, pushing in this wave, and I think this is probably going to be the dynamic that we're expecting out of the Maokai Olaf matchup. We really don't want to get that tree chopped down too hard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is the Axe versus Tree matchup, but I will say Juggernaut, I think, played very respectfully there, didn't overcommit on CS he couldn't get, and he's going to really even this out once the, he evens it out. 9-line Klein does get the tempo recall, but if that's all you're giving up in the Maokai versus Olaf, you're doing a great job.
Well, Hecarim is starting to move back towards the spot side of the map. We are about a minute off of that first dragon spawn, and we'll see whether or not SWBF picking up that kill is going to make a big impact on the dynamic of this game. Bot side of the map, we also have Memer Sticks on the Seraphine, who's notoriously good at wave clear, so this could just be priority over to Dorado Gaming Moo to try to move towards those early neutral objectives.
And that's a lot of damage coming out of that Zeri early. Chews right through the shield, and yeah, really don't want to eat that many too many of those trades, especially given that their flash is still down for another minute. Zed is about to hit 6 here off of this next wave. Actually, no, I'm sorry, the next wave after that. So he'll probably be fine off getting dove. But every time you get poked, the odds of you getting dove increase.
Well, 99 Klein is once again on their trademark roam deep into the mid lane, and we'll see if they're going to be able to make anything of this. It's going to be a little bit difficult, lacking the mobility on Olaf to go for a real good flank, but OG Kush is trying to help them, and now Jacobri does have to blast plant themselves to safety, or rather package bomb themselves to safety, and then flash over the wall. So that's a lot of resources burned, and perhaps that's going to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the Olaf there, burning Ghost just to burn the flash. Oh,
SWBF incredibly low, as is Mimra Sticks, and we've been talking about dynamics regarding Summoner spells for a while now. That's a lot of resources invested by Dorado Gaming Move to not pick up.
Yeah, I mean they traded 2 for 3 on the sums, right? Cleanse and exhaust down, but now they have the flash advantage, and there's no flashes on the side of Dorado.
Yeah, now this could be the time for Bloom Gaming Lotus to strike. Just a lot of push and pull on this front. Nocturne is already starting up that dragon, actually, and this is coming at the perfect time because Dorado Gaming Move did have to back. Top side of the map, we got some action. 9-line Klein using that Ragnarok to get through the Nature's Grasp. Juggernaut going to be able to juke the axe with a flash. 9-line Klein now kind of caught out under the tower. Is going to decide to try to take aggro, and I don't really know why.
I think he has auto attack on. That was a strange auto attack there if you're Olaf. I think he has auto attack on. Because, yeah, you're right. He took aggro there for no reason.
Yeah, that's
maybe
wild.
Just click. Yeah, that is definitely an unforced error if you're 9-line Klein. But, I mean, well played up to that point by both sides. I thought Juggernaut took an over-aggressive play, trying to, jumping in at first and then getting forced that low. But then he put the second half of that very well, right? Predicting the flash of the Olaf, and then capitalizing when he knew he could, once he knew that the Olaf was on cooldown.
Well, this is certainly going to be a big gap in the game now for Dorado Gaming Mood. They have given up 2 kills off the back of Olaf at this point, and perhaps we're going to be seeing a very different dynamic from game number 1, where it really was this top side of the map that defined the pace of things. Now it just kind of feels like it's maybe the same, but it's going to be up to a kind of less impactful champion to make the most of the lead that they forge for themselves. Not that Maokai isn't a huge team fight player, but I'm just saying in this 1v1, I'm not really expecting them to all of a sudden be knocking on the tower super early on versus Dorado.
No. I mean, I do think Olaf still does have prio and pressure in this matchup, and you can see the Maokai respecting that. But maybe that's actually what Juggernaut needs, because last game, you remember his first 2 deaths came at the hands of Graves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's because he was trying to win a lane versus playing defensive, right? And now that he's playing defensive because of the matchup dictates it, he's finding more success. So low sample size, but I mean it's something to consider.
Well, still in totality, the gold lead is very slightly edged in favor of Dorado Gaming Moo, and so therefore it isn't like this Olaf has thrown the entirety of the game away by any stretch of the imagination. There's still advantages that Dorado Gaming is going to try to play off of here. But once again, Bloom Gaming Lotus has gotten themselves a pretty free first Drake in. Now, that does mean that the pace of the game is going to slow down ever so slightly. Maybe that gives Scoobs a bit more time to scale up. Although, while we're all watching this action in the bot side of the map, we have another trade top where 9-line Klein finds themselves under the tower aggro. Juggernaut getting the better of that trade. Although, while this is all happening, Split Breed has grabbed themselves Rift Herald.
Yeah, and I do like Split Breed here, seeing that Olaf has been pushed in for quite a while now. Taking the time to grab Herald. And here's the thing about Prio also. Oh, as we get a gank coming in.
Yeah, the lights are turned off. Zeri going to be able to just hop the wall and get to safety, but the Seraphine not so lucky without the flash available. Is just going to die. OG Kush looking to try to make this a cross-map 1-for-1, but Jacobri has a lot of tools to play with, and 2 members of Blue Squad coming their way to defend. The Zed's just going to have to walk this out, and while Splitbreed was trying to get some farm as a response and a crash off that Rift Herald, this is still a gold-positive play for Bloom Gaming Lotus.
Yeah, absolutely, and Jacob the Ziggs, I thought, excellent dodge there. He, it looked like Zed ulted him and did no damage afterwards. Just really, really good, micro plays. I think we talk a lot about, the right decision making, but just really good hands to help even that out, because he was in a tough spot with Zed ulting on top of him, but he played it very well.
Now, the gold going over to Loveless means that Scoobs is still pretty much in the same position in the 2v2, but it's not really a rough position to be in. The Kog'Maw is only down 10 CS, and like I said before, they are going to scale with levels, and because the timer of the game is shifted back just a little bit off the fact that Bloom Gaming Lotus is the ones with the Dragon Soul, Dorado Gaming Move do have to be careful about the ways that they try to push the rest of this early game. But as I say that, this is a pretty reckless charge from Nine Line Klein, who is going to have, once again, the trade equalized against them by virtue of taking the tower shot. Juggernaut not actually going to go for the full commitment on the retry. But yeah, Nature's Grasp was fired off. Yeah,
the JK bro on that one. He ulted in and then thought about it a little bit more, which is smart. I mean, I'm glad to see Maokai lives to fight another day. I was worried that when he pressed R there, he felt committed to it. Interesting enough, I know I was praising the Ziggs earlier, but because of the matchup, he is forced into the Seeker's arm guard early. And this is also, for those of you who read the patch notes, Seekers is being buffed, but that is not live yet. So this is considered a relatively weak purchase, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive. And I do think that's gonna impact Ziggs' power spikes, right? You know, Zed's coming here with a full item completion, whereas Ziggs is still almost 2,000 gold away from Mythic, at least. Yeah, almost 2,000 gold away from Mythic, 1,800 gold away from Mythic.
Yeah, Ziggs definitely a little bit delayed for the time being, and with that first, or rather second dragon now spawning up, this could mean that Bloom Gaming Lotus is a little bit less eager to try to make something happen, especially as we do see Split Breed entering onto this bot lane, forcing Kog'Maw and Lulu back just a little bit as Loveless is going to take a reset.
Yeah, luckily, oh gosh, cancels his reset because Hecarim decides to go for it. I was thinking, like, luckily Loveless is resetting, what do you call it, off of vision, so they have no idea. But, oh, very good Ziggs ult there, forces the flash.
Yeah, SWBF and Memer Sticks kind of lagging in that rotation across the map. Jacobri, though, totally caught out, is going to die, but Nocturne is coming in like a heat-seeking missile. They're looking for 1 kill, they're looking for 2 kills, and they turn things right back around for Bloom Gaming Lotus.
Yeah, and then Olaf not able to match, right? Olaf takes Ghost, needs that extra bit of sticking power. But yeah, excellent TP from Juggernaut. And I like that he also didn't help with the dragon, didn't save for anything. He's like, okay, I gotta go right back to my turret before this Olaf, you know, melts it. I was gonna say, Nocturne did a good job of recalling not on vision, so that they wouldn't know and they wouldn't feel emboldened to start the dragon. But then Dorado go ahead and just start that dragon up anyway. And between the dragon damage, excellent Ziggs ult, I think that fight as soon as I saw that Ziggs come down, I think that's a lost fight for Dorado. I mean, well played on the side of Loveless, canceling the recall. He canceled that recall with like 1 second left. And then well played from Jacobberry, surviving, or I don't think he survived the dive actually, but going down, risking it to get the damage down necessary in order to win that fight for his team.
Yeah, for sure. And Bloom Gaming Lotus now find themselves at 2 dragons, and very kind of similar to the dynamic from game number 1, Slim. I think that if this game goes even past the 20-minute mark, Bloom Gaming Lotus this time, I think, is actually the one favored because of the Ziggs and that Kog'Maw. Yes, Zeri is explosive. It's still a very, very powerful selection, and the engage potential from Dorado Gaming Move is certainly there, but we've already kind of seen that Bloom Gaming Lotus is very capable with the composition of making these very awkward fights for Dorado Gaming Move. And while we do see the Ziggs currently getting picked and hit by the death mark, I think that there's still a very intact game plan that they're going to be able to utilize.
Yeah, and that combo, unfortunately, is what that Kog'Maw has to look forward to as well, right? Once these team fights start coming together, he will have a Lulu, but Hecarim Zed, he'll also have to dodge a Seraphine R and have an Olaf charging in from somewhere. So I wouldn't, any other point, it probably would have worked out a little bit better for him.
And SWBF is going skater mode, chasing after Loveless, forcing the flash out of the Nocturne. They do leave Memer Sticks in a very awkward position, so you really have to question the rationale of this play, but Dorado Gaming Moves certainly just want to make big statements across the map, as Nine Line Klein and Split Breed, while this is all happening, are going topside to drop a Herald onto tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, while that was kill positive for Dorado, I mean, getting a cross-map Herald that you're not able to defend, getting the second crash here is really not what you want to see here.
They do not want to give up more kills to Levelist, though, and right now, 9line Klein's a little bit too hurt to really go for a fight, but they might have to take it regardless. Ultimate from Split Breed, and look at how that turned things around. Down goes the Nocturne. Juggernaut is soon to follow, and this is a disaster for Bloom Gaming Lotus in the top side of the map. Cloudberry walks up only to watch the Maokai die.
Yeah, that's very tough, and I be honest, I don't know if the Olaf just thought about it more and realized he could win that. I thought he could have turned 4 or 5 seconds ago. But
well, you knew better than I.
Yeah, I mean, there's no anti-heal yet, right? And Olaf is all about being low health. That's when he's most dangerous. And I think 9line Klein demonstrated why right there.
Well, we do have the Hecarim once again trying to set up for a play this time against the Ziggs. And we saw how that well this combo's worked out last time. Now, there is no ultimate on the Hecarim, but it isn't like it matters. OG Kush cleans it up off the death mark. And now, Dorado Gaming Moose seem to have broken the dam open. They have just climbed to about a 4,000 gold lead in just a few minutes. So Bloom Gaming Lotus find themselves once again before that 20-minute mark, down quite a bit, really struggling to find their footing in this series.
Yeah, and I think as long as they are up, like if they get this 3rd dragon, they'll feel fine. Even just, you know, they fell behind some gold. The Olaf's scary now, but as long as they get this dragon, I think they'll feel fine. Hecarim, notably, I think kind of greeted for some camps here and wasn't able to get the recall that he wanted. He's sitting on 2,000 gold here. Although they do have Maokai caught out, Ziggs is still heading back to base. Maokai's pretty chunked. If he autos something, I think he'll be okay. But that is going to make this dragon fight a little bit harder.
Split Breed has gotten their ultimate back up as well, so even if they are not in the best spot in regards to that income, they're still definitely a threat. And I'll tell you who's in a very comfortable position in regards to income. It's that Olaf and it's that Zeri. Zeri really just looking for a few more kills on the prowl. Once they pick up a good team fight, Dorado Gaming Moo is going to punch their ticket to a 2-0 series, and Bloom Gaming Lotus is doing all they can to resist that. They're going to play patiently for the time being, giving up that drag, and now in return, they're going to try to bust this tier 1 tower in the mid lane down.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they gave that away without a fight. I understand that, what do you call it, the Ziggs was a little bit late coming in, but I thought that was easily playable for Bloom. But they don't want to race. They don't want another blowout like they had in game 1, and they're still up 2 drags to 1. They're likely to have this turret fall very soon. It's almost in Ziggs range. We'll see if they're able to, you know, finish that off.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't just in Ziggs' range on that last push, but they got another few waves to play with.
Yeah, well, Ziggs' W execute does scale off his rank in W, so that's probably, he only has 1 point in it right now, so that's probably why.
Gotcha. Well, regardless, they'll get there eventually, like you're talking about, and it's probably going to be coming right around the time that Baron Nashor comes up, which could be a nice little swing of tempo and priority back over to Bloom Gaming Lotus, who are currently struggling on that front just because they lost that tier 1 tower pretty early in the top side once again. Now, Olaf is deciding to run in for a 1v2, and it might just have this pay off. Scoobs unable to get out from under the Olaf because even with the Lulu ultimate, unfortunately that Ragnarok is just immuning this champion all the way through. Now, ultimately, this might turn into a 1-for-1, but it does require Nocturne to show on the map, and now Split Breed is going to guide in another wave on the top lane.
Yeah, it actually might be a dead Maokai.
Yeah, that
Qs are going crazy. There's the
so
completed... The massive amounts of CDR from... oh my gosh, there's so much... Everyone's fighting! But the massive amounts of CDR from Hecarim with that Spear of Shojin build means he's able to just DPS down the Maokai, the full armor Maokai.
This is a pretty awkward spot to back, and Split Breed is going to die, giving a shutdown to
Massive
Scoobs.
shutdown, actually.
So, bit irresponsible there from Dorado Gaming Moo on how they chased for the Maokai kill. That is actually such a big boost to Bloom Gaming Lotus' chances in this mid game, as this Kog'Maw is actually starting to get out quite a bit ahead in regards to gold versus SWBF on the Zeri.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's 500 gold in his pocket right there. The thing is that the gold's just going to make him do more damage for the time being, right?
I mean, isn't that the entire point of playing an ADC, though?
Yes, but it's not going to keep him alive, is what I'm saying. I think that's his greater concern right now. He will eventually reach a point. I expect him to likely go, like, some sort of Juggermaw. I would like to see, like, the Titanic Hydra on him. I would probably like to see... There's the Rage Blade completed. Yeah, he's in a good spot. I would probably like to see the Randuin's Omen completed on him as well. But that's going to be probably 4th and 5th items. He may go Titanic 3rd here because Wit's End against, full AD doesn't feel very great. But all in all, this Kog'Maw is still a ways off. Even though he's feeling good damage-wise, is going to be a while before he's able to, I think, survive the dive. What are you doing, bro?
Playing a bit irresponsibly, 9-line Klein is able to play way more aggro than Juggernaut at this point, so it's kind of unfortunate that Maokai just wants a little bit of the fun that the Olaf is clearly having in this game, but kind of being denied the opportunity to do so, and is therefore losing these trades pretty hard.
And what if on this Maokai, I mean, I'm not, there's a fight going on right now. There's a Hecarim. Hecarim is very tanky, honestly.
Yeah, Splitbreed decides to not just fire off their ultimate and run at the 3 members of Blue Squad that showed right there. And I guess that makes a little bit of sense. If they overextend and die without enough backup from SWBF, Bloom Gaming Lotus could realistically just pivot over and go for that Baron Nashor. But as we talk about all this action, we also got to look bot once again because Juggernaut overstayed under that dying tier 1 tower, and now they give up their life.
Yeah, and there was some brief moments where he was playing that well in the early game, but just the matchup alone dictates that you have to give this Olaf the utmost respect. And there was times I think there where he wasn't doing that. Especially, when the turret can only keep you safe for so long. He saw that top lane when he got ran down, and he saw that here when the turret is low enough that it's no longer there by the time that you need it the most.
Well, now with Jakavri dead, this could actually just be a Baron Nashor forced. Dorado Gaming Mu have to be wary of the fact that the next dragon is spawning up relatively shortly, so they might end up splitting their priorities just a little bit, but regardless, they're profiting mightily from the plays right now. And once that Baron Nashor does indeed fall, I think that will be the death knell for Bloom Gaming Lotus. Certainly a better showing in this game, but I am really doubting the ability of this team to bring it back now, given how explosive the Dorado Gaming Mu is proving to be in these skirmishes.
Yeah, and honestly, I do think also, I'm not exactly sure when it was because we were talking so much about the top lane or, the Ziggs dying or the Kog'Maw getting the shutdown, but once again, I think it'd be interesting to see tape to see how Splitbreed got a 3-level lead onto Loveless, and it's even a 2-level lead on everybody else on the team. They do give the dragon, though.
They do get the dragon, but the problem is Dorado Gaming Mu are looking to just wipe the whole team here and now. Juggernaut is caught out inside of the pit, is going to die, and 9-line Clyde is rampaging on the backside of this fight, eventually blown up by the Kog'Maw, but unfortunately the AD carry will not make it to safety, and OG Kush is on a Jakavri hunt in the bot lane. Will be able to grab that one as well, and this is a near ace, and Dorado Gaming Mu come right back from losing that neutral objective. Well set up now for the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, I looked like the Zed was a little late coming back from base, and that's why they conceded the dragon and then chose to take the fight afterwards. This should be a relatively uncontested Baron. There is teleport available for the Maokai and teleport available for the Ziggs, but it's going down fairly quickly. Nocturne, oh, there's the teleport. Nocturne's in a bit of a bad spot. Nocturne's trapped.
Just ults completely the wrong direction. A little bit questionable where the Nature's Grasp was supposed to be going, but Dorado Gaming Mu will just respect the space being bought by Bloom Gaming Lotus and move back towards their side of the map.
Yeah, I actually think that they could have finished that Baron and just sent Zed to go 1v1 the Nocturne.
Yeah.
But now that the action is subsided, this Hecarim is the highest level in the game, right? And when you are I'm not going to say Hecarim's immobile, obviously, he's very mobile. But he's a champion who really relies on his base stats in order to tank and his items for damage. And whatever he's done to pick up side lanes and pick up farming very efficiently, he's up, 45 here, is really what's making it half of what's making it so difficult for Lotus to win these fights. You're not going to kill a Hecarim that's 3 levels above you. It's exponentially harder if you're this Kog'Maw, because not only is obviously he much harder to kill Fate stats, but he has shorter cooldowns to either run in and out of the fight or keep running at you, as well as doing more damage. A lot of Hecarim's damage is going to come from his base AD. Actually, I take it back. He actually has mostly bonus AD ratios. That part's not true. But whatever he did to get to level 16 is also why he has 3 items right now.
Yeah, Split Breed finds themselves in a very similar position to that game number 1, where they were also lapping the field versus Loveless in regards to income. And for a second game running, it also kind of comes down to how these champions play, but it's a little bit more dire from Bloom Gaming Lotus. Loveless was getting fed early in this one, Slim, and it just unfortunately has not translated into any real late game impact. We're 26 minutes into this one. Yes, 3 dragons have gone over to Bloom Gaming Lotus, but they are down quite a bit of gold, and unfortunately, any even 5v5 taken at this point probably favors Dorado Gaming to a pretty absurd extent. It will lead to either turrets being taken or barons being grabbed, dragons going down. You really have 1 or 2 fights left in you, and you need to make the most of them.
Yeah, and I do think though that in this case, the breaking point for scaling on this Kog'Maw is so far away that I don't see it personally, because even if when he reaches these damage breakpoints, he is not going to reach survivability breakpoints until this Lulu has 3 more items. Ziggs not again.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Ziggs just wanted to meet up with the rest of their team and have a little trip in their own jungle, and they're being denied that opportunity by OG Kush, who doesn't quite have the burst to deal with the Ziggs, but still gets the flash out of that champion. That means that they're going to be in a much more awkward position for the next team fight, and Dorado Gaming all the while are just besieging this mid lane here too.
Yeah. I do think though, with the Runeans completed, with the range support and the Nocturne Q, and of course the Ziggs who wasn't there for that one, they do have much better siege defense, and that's why you're seeing this game slow down more than we did in game 1, right? Versus having only Syndra to really contribute wave clear, you now have several members that can contribute, and that siege was unsuccessful. Whereas I think, given a similar game state last game, Dorado would have taken that mid turret.
Well, there is a little bit of priority on the bounce back from Bloom Gaming and Lotus to move into this topside river. They're going to secure good vision off of that skull crab being
threatening this Baron, actually. Given dragon spawning, given that obviously Soul's on the table for, and Mountain Soul would be so big for this Kog'Maw, by the way. They're threatening this Baron. They're actually thinking about starting it. They're backing off of starting it. I like the answer here. Yeah, I like the answer here. Like, let's not go for the dragon. We're gonna take your base if you do this Baron. And that's exactly what Dorado did. I love that macro from Dorado. Not just going to the dragon, not just dancing at Baron, but pushing mid instead, and forcing. Okay, we're not gonna trade dragon for Baron. We'll trade your inhib and then dragon for Baron. I thought that was well played there. However, we're right back to it. They kind of gave it up a little bit easily. Letting the Olaf solo this means this is gonna be a 4v5. Hecarim may be force click for the steal here. He does have his ultimate available. Does have the blast gun as well, and they're just backing off.
Yeah, this is the worst. Bloom Gaming Lotus has no ability to go for the Baron Nashor with that Hecarim on the prowl. And look at this. It's such an awkward engage. They are going to send in Loveless, but they're going to be blown up in an instant. Splitfree gets that kill. And now look at the Olaf once again running down all of the squishings on the enemy team, holding on with the Ragnarok. They have their GA popped, but Splitfree is going to hand off the aggro. Scoops gets run down, and that's the end of the game. Dorado Gaming Moo don't even need the Baron Nashor. They're going to run and train through mid lane and set up for 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. On the side of Lotus, just the worst of both worlds in terms of the available options they had here. But man, oh man, that was such a decisive punish from Dorado. They didn't overcommit, and as soon as they knew that they peeled Baron, they successfully got rid of the threat of Baron. They just backed off and baited Lotus into a favorable fight for them.
I gotta say, I thought that maybe that first game was going to be a little bit of a fluke, Slim, in terms of Dorado Gaming having really good macro and coordination, but a lot of that just came from how big of an advantage they got early. This game was a little bit more even, and yet still, it felt like Dorado Gaming Moo knew exactly where to go on the map, and Bloom Gaming Lotus were just dragged to and fro trying to respond.
Yeah, that fight, I think I would love. I mean, I think that was just excellent macro from Dorado. Obviously, we are like baffled at that unforced error, but you have to give your hats off to Dorado for how they played the map in that situation. Being threatened with both Soul and Baron, I thought that they moved very well around the map. They were willing to 50-50 that Baron, obviously, and then they Lotus was not prepared to take that either. But I thought they played that, not just like punished a mistake, but proactively played that very well in terms of how they moved. The mid lane pressure before that, leading up to that play, was also very well executed.
Congratulations to Dorado Gaming Move for keeping that undefeated streak alive. Now 4-0 in total across these 2 weeks of competition, and they're looking like one of these top contenders here in the Platinum division.
Absolutely. Would be interesting to see how they fare against the rest of the league, but I mean that was a convincing second win.
Well, we got plenty more League of Legends, not only in the Platinum League, but elsewhere within the BOL. Tomorrow's going to be the Gold broadcast. Before this, we had the Masters broadcast. We got Diamond as well. So many different players just vying for dominance. So many great teams and organizations trying to make a mark or return to glory here in the BOL. And we would love to have you guys along for the ride. So make sure to drop a follow. Shout outs once again to Coachify for sponsoring this stream. Check them out at coachify.gg. They are also tied to Tracking the Pros, one of my favorite Twitch channels where you get to watch, well, pros play solo queue. It's one of the best places to be on this website, alongside the BOL, of course. But this is about it for us tonight, I believe. Slim, thank you so much for stepping in and covering our lovely Alls, who typically is the one color casting on these nights. But it was great to have you on.
Oh yeah, pleasure to be here, and honestly, a pleasure working with you.
All right. Well, we are going to throw it for an end tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everybody, have a good one.
It's